Let me start by saying something a little controversial. Your to-do list is not your primary time management or productivity tool. It's there as a support mechanism for your primary time management and productivity tool. And your primary time management and productivity tool is your calendar. Yes, your task manager, to-do list, whatever you want to call it, is a lot more sexy than your calendar because your calendar is boring. It's just 7 days with a list of all your appointments and it looks horrendous because I've seen most people's calendars and they do look horrendous. You're double booked with 3 or 4 meetings at the same time, your all-day training programs plus your team meetings all on the same times. Come on guys, you can't be in 2 places at once. Sort that out, remove the conflicts. But let's just go back to the to-do list or task manager. The digital to-do list and task manager is a wonderful toy. It's got so many features. We've got start dates, due dates, we've got different lists, we can filter things, we can add tags or labels. You know, it's a really, really sexy, pleasant, playful tool. And that's the problem with today's to-do list. Getting back to basics with a to-do list, what is it about? Well, it's basically just a list of things that you should or must do today. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. If you find you have a need to filter down your list, it basically means you've got way too much stuff on there in the first place. Most people can do between 10 and 15 to-dos per day. What I often see with many people who share their to-do list with me is they've got 30, 40, 50 things on their list of things to do today, plus they've got 6 hours of meetings. Well, it ain't gonna happen. Either you cancel those meetings and spend all day doing your tasks, or you start getting a lot more realistic about what your to-do list is showing. Now today, my to-do list is showing 6 things. I've got a busy day, a very busy day, but it's only showing 6 things because that's all I've got time to do today. If I want to work 24 hours today, perhaps I could add 15 more things to it, but I've got to be realistic. The only time I have available to do tasks today means that realistically I can do 6 things. But those 6 things are important things. They are the things that I have decided are must-dos or should-dos today. So what do you put on a to-do list or your task manager? Well, a lot of the things that I see on there are kind of wishful thinking things. You know, look into buying a gift for my mother for next month's birthday. Well, that's an interesting task. Sure, that might be something that you need to do, but do you actually need to do it today? Can you? Do you have time to do it today? Now, something like that, think about or look into buying a birthday gift for my mother, that's something I'm going to do in the evening. It's not something that I'm going to do as part of my work day. Now, I might need a reminder for it, but hey, come on, this is your mother. Why would you need a reminder to buy your mother a birthday present? I mean, come on, it's your mother, a kind of an important person in your life. But it's the same with your partner. I don't need to be reminded that my wife's birthday is the 16th of February. I know, and she also reminds me frequently, particularly January, February time, my birthday's coming. But let's be honest here, researching and thinking about what I'm going to buy for my wife or for my mother or sister or brother for their birthday is not something that's going to be on my daily task list. It's something that will come up when I do the weekly planning, because I see the birthdays coming up. It's on my calendar. All my family's birthdays are on my calendar. So when I'm doing the weekly planning session, I can see that I've got that coming up, and I could just make a little note on my weekly planning matrix to decide, okay, what am I going to buy them for the birthday? Particularly with my mother living like 6,000, 7,000 miles away from me, then perhaps I also need to do it a little bit earlier so I can get the gift to her in time. But all these things do not go on my task manager. They will be part of my weekly planning, and I may actually end up with a task that says, buy my wife her Hermes Apple Watch. That's what she wants. So that's something I can buy from the Apple Store. I know what she wants. She's already told me. many times, and so I have to make sure that that's bought and received before the 16th of February. Job done. But there's so many things that I see on people's task list, not just things like birthday presents, but a lot of these think about things and consider things. You know, they're not tasks, they're thinking things. They should be in your notes. And perhaps when you're doing the weekly planning session, you can make a note saying, oh, I really need to make a decision on that. And then you can sort of decide, well, okay, I'm going to spend some time when I go out for a walk, or when I do my exercise, or when I'm driving or commuting to work. But they're not tasks. They're things that you just want to think about. I mean, let's be honest. Thinking about something can be a year, it can be 10 years to think about something. And then again, thinking about something can be done in like 3 or 4 minutes. It doesn't really matter, but it's not a task. But what should your task manager be showing you every single day? Well, I would actually have things like finish off my report, or complete the edits of these videos, or I might have write blog post. These are actually hard physical things that I can do, tangible things rather than physical things. But writing a blog post, I wrote this morning when I got up, I wrote the weekly newsletter that I send out. That weekly newsletter was written this morning. It was a task on my task list. Now on my calendar, I have a block of time called writing time. And I saw, okay, I've got 2 hours to write this newsletter. And that's what I did. I spent those 2 hours writing the newsletter, preparing it, and then scheduling it to go out. That's a task, write newsletter. Similarly, on Monday, I'm going to have write blog post. Also on Tuesday, I will probably have plan YouTube videos, which is what I usually do on a Tuesday. But all of these things are in my to-do list because they are tangible, they're actionable, and I can do them. There's none of this think about stuff or consider stuff. And there's certainly none of these lists of people to call and follow up that I probably won't do because I don't have the time set aside to do it. Certainly not Monday and Tuesday. And that's the thing about your task list. It needs to be tangible, actionable things that you can do, not wishy-washy tasks that are not very clear. You also need to make sure that you're not overscheduling yourself. Now, there's a basic principle here that you really should be following. First step is look at your calendar. How much time do you have available for doing tasks today? This is why your calendar is your primary productivity and time management tool. How much time do you have? Now today I have 3 hours of meetings later on today. So all the task work that I need to do must be done during the day. Now equally during the day, I've got to do my exercise, take the dog for a walk, and I've got to eat. Of course, I've got to have my dinner and so on. So all this needs to be fitted into that calendar. That left me with this morning and this lunchtime to be able to do my writing and record these videos. Forget this evening. I've got admin to do and I've got my communication to do. Things like responding to actionable emails. I have a standard where I respond to all email within 24 hours. So that's a non-negotiable. That's got to be done. It's a task on my task list. Clear Action This Day folder. Now, if you're not familiar with the Action This Day folder, I suggest having a look at one of my email videos where I go into a bit more detail on how you do that. But these are tangible, not tangible, but they are actionable, tangible tasks. I can do them. They're not wishy-washy, maybe I'll do them, maybe I won't, because that is how overwhelm and backlogs build up. So here are a few basic practices that you can follow every single day. The start of the day, open up your calendar. Look at the appointments that you have and commitments that you have that day. How much time do you have left? Now, if you only have 2 hours left, what are your tasks? What are the most important tasks that must be done that day? Make sure they are showing in your today list. Now, all the folders that you have, if you're following the time sector system, that will be this week, this month, next month, etc. All those folders, they're just holding pens. They're just holding pens for tasks that you've processed from your inbox. Today's list is your most important list on a daily basis. So once you've looked at your calendar and you've established how much time you have available for doing tasks, then you can start curating your task list for the day. Now this in total, if you start this every morning, it takes you about 5 minutes. That's all it takes, particularly if you're doing it every day and you're being consistent. And there's a quick tip for you. Make the word be consistent, or make the phrase be consistent, your watchword for 2025. That's all you have to do. 5 minutes. First, look at your calendar. Ask yourself, how much time do I have available for doing tasks today? Then open up your task manager and make sure that your list is curated to a standard, which means that you have got a realistic, doable day. Don't create 30, 40 tasks and say, I have to do them, I have to do them, when you've only got 90 minutes to do tasks today. It's not going to happen. You're just not going to have the time to do it. You can fight that. You can argue with me if you want. But the one thing that's fixed every single day is the amount of time you have. You get to choose how you use that time, but don't make it impossible, because you're just going to end up with an overwhelming list, which ultimately will lead to a backlog of tasks, and then you'll give up. You'll probably blame the task manager you're using and go on for looking at more new apps and then transfer everything across and then start all over again, and very soon you're going to be in the same position. That's because you haven't fixed the underlying problem, which is being over ambitious about what you can actually do each day. Now, there's a lot of things you can do in your calendar. You can practice what I do, which is protecting time for critical work. Work such as my writing. I basically have to write every single day. I am an author. I also have to do these videos, which takes 3 or 4 hours every week. So I need to protect time for that. I have coaching calls, which are sort of like my meetings, but after that I write feedback, which means I need an hour a day for that. So I need to protect that time. If I don't protect it and allow other stuff to fill that time up, then this work is not going to get done. So it's critical that I protect that time, and that's something that you need to start practicing if you want to get better at managing your time and becoming more productive. It's really about following basics. And the basic principle is start with your calendar. Look at how much time you actually have available for doing your tasks today. Then, based on that amount of time, create your list for today. Now, a lot of the stuff that I have every day is pretty much recurring, because I've been doing this, I've been practicing these principles for many, many years now. They've never let me down. Yeah, sure, occasionally I get a little bit of a backlog, but I know that by the end of the week I will be cleared of any backlogs. I'll never be overwhelmed, because I'm realistic about what can and cannot be done in a day. And that needs to be like your watchword for this year. Make it so that you are having realistic days every single day. Now, of course, that means you're going to have to get comfortable saying no. And I know a lot of people get fearful of saying no to their bosses and clients and so on. But we're not saying no directly. We're just negotiating or renegotiating the time spans that these people are demanding of us, so that we can keep our days realistic. But make sure that whatever happens, your calendar is your primary driver of the day. Your task manager is just support for the gaps that you have between your meetings and other commitments for the day. If you can focus on that every day this year, I can promise you by the end of the year, you'll never have backlogs again, you'll never feel overwhelmed, and you'll start to get a hell of a lot of stuff done. If you want to learn more about my principles, then this video up here will give you an outline of how I manage my time.